Okay, and a very good evening to you. And here we are, we're back on the bench with the Heathkit, and as you can see, not a lot has changed from where we last left it, except the knobs are now clean, and that was just soapy water and a toothbrush just to scrub them up a bit. That was a 5-minute job. The front panel has had a cleaning, and I don't know whether it shows up too well depending on which camera I'm looking at. Let's try that one. You can just about see the line on the overhead camera. I'm just going to point it also to this one at the side and see whether you can see where the meter's been covering up the paint. That's kept its lighter grey and this has faded, but I've washed all the dirt off of here, so that's the front panel's been cleaned up. And the parts have come in, the 22 mega ohm resistors. Now, I looked on eBay first because I only need 5 resistors, and somebody on eBay, well, the average price is £1.29 a resistor, and I thought, no, that's just stupid, £1.29 for a resistor. So Farnell's Element 14 in the UK, they're bound to have the right thing, and yes they did, and they're a lot cheaper. The only thing is, to get free shipping you have to spend £20 or more. So let's measure these up, get the pliers, bend that down there, make sure that that's the right sort of distance. Bend that one down from about there, and then that should just fit, not turn the whole lot over. And what I'll do is grab my soldering iron, find the end of the solder. The one thing I keep meaning to do is change the tip on this iron. At the moment I've got a very small, I think it's a 1.2mm point tip on there, and really for this work I'd be better off with something like a 1.6 or a 1.8mm chisel tip, and I've got new tips. It's just a case of I've got to remember to do it when the iron's cold. For some reason, you know, my skin doesn't seem to appreciate touching the iron when it's hot. I don't know why. They should all be in there nice and neatly. Yes, they are. So that then leaves us with what else to do? Not a lot really. I wanted to put another drop of cleaner down here, down the pots, and not so much lubricate the switches. I'm still in two minds about this DC jack. The DC jack only uses the tip. The other contact is actually chassied. It's not floating at all. It looks like at this point we're about ready to put it back together. Okay, so here we are back again, and I've put in the 22 meg resistors, and there's one of the old ones. A little bit of an upgrade, but yeah, that's nice. What I was going to do before I do anything else is I was going to just clean these pots a little bit. Now, the actual pots themselves are working fine, so I don't want to clean too much inside there. I just want to take some of this gunk off the outside. The switches, I'm going to lubricate a little bit down these shafts because they're just a little bit tight. And for that, I have two different products. They're both cleaning, but this one leaves a lubricant behind, whereas this one just evaporates. The AeroClean 50 just evaporates. So I'm going to use the AeroClean on the pots, I'm just going to get a piece of kitchen towel. I'm just going to spray the top there and just degunk that top bit like that, and just take the dirt off. I don't, as I say, want to put anything in there. One of the reasons you can't use the other lubricant on potentiometers is it actually dissolves the track on the carbon track off the board, so you don't really want to use this stuff on the pots inside. It's a little bit harsh, but you know, each of these has its own particular use. That one is great on relays, it's great on contactors, switches, and anything that moves. Although neither of these are any good on anything live, because they've both got very low flash points, and it only takes a spark, and you could end up with quite an impressive blaze on your hands. It is pretty good stuff. But Servicol, a well-known brand name over in, pretty much everywhere in Europe. There are a few alternatives, because we don't have deoxit so much, certainly not at any realistic prices. And Servicol's own ones do just as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to change the nozzle over, because that's one thing that does happen. The nozzles always go missing, and just to prevent sort of oil and lube going everywhere, I'm just going to put a little bit down on that switch, and then I'm going to get the pliers and just manoeuvre them a little bit. Don't need to do a great deal, just enough to start it sliding down, and it already feels a lot better. So we'll just do this other one, and there we go. Doesn't need a great deal, as I say, it just needs just enough to start the process of it going down the side of the shaft. Is that looped? No, it's just wedged through the hole. Okay, so let's do one side at a time. Now, if that's the back, I'll want the numbering to the back. So let's just, will that fit through that hole as it is? Go, that's just cooled off. Slide that on there. Move that one out of the way and that one, because there's where we want to get to. And that one again looks like it's just pushed through the hole, so the Sucker should be able to get it. Well, it would if it wasn't blocked. Push the button, George, it will work. There we go. Right, let's just take that bit of wire out. Okay. Put that in there. Come on. There we go. Just put a little J hook on the end of there. And a nice shiny solder joint. No, that doesn't feel like the thread's right. Let's see if it goes better that way round. There we go. Now these don't need to be over tightened. You don't need to strip the plastic thread off. They've actually got an anti-rotation lip which fits into this little notch there. So you know you've got it in the right place when it sits flat. Trying to keep things in place. Doing these by hand is a much better method of making sure you don't cross thread anything. Spring washer. You see so many people just go straight at them with the power tools and then it's too late. As you see, just getting them in, and there, and there, and then I can use the good old Swedish. I won't say what Ave calls it, but he's right. These are not the best tools, but everybody's got one and everybody uses them. That will now sit in the box like that when we put the meter bracket in. But before we can put the meter bracket in, there's one more bit of soldering I've got to do to this board. The line transformer needs a switch on it, so I'm going to put the line transformer one, which is here. I'm going to put that one in after I've put the casing back together. But the neutral, which is blue in the UK, can go straight back to the circuit board. So let's just twist that off. Just make sure there are no whiskers floating out. Let's just bring the entire length of cable onto the bench to try and give me a bit of a stress relief so it doesn't fall out the hole. And yeah, let's just move this a bit further in. I don't want to be working off camera, as it were. That looks good, that's in tight, and that's there. That's that part of the bottom side of the board. Just a quick splash of alcohol. Just a little bit of ladies' nail lacquer, which I'm just pushing underneath where that track was, where it started to lift up, just to add a little bit more strength, and that's why I'm bringing it down the board a bit. This is just a UV torch, and this will cure that glue quite quickly. I do have one of those ladies nail stuff curers as well, which I bought off eBay or AliExpress, one of the two. I bought it really cheaply, but these modern lacquers are pretty all UV cure now, so you know, it means that you're not sitting here for hours waiting for any of this to dry. You just point the torch at it. If I point it just straight at the camera there, you see it flares out purple. And let's look at putting the meter back in. So I haven't glued the meter front in yet because I want to check that the movement is good, but I'm leaving the front on so that I can put things down. What's stopping that from coming upwards, apart from that bit of the bracket there? That's what's stopping it from coming upwards. So washer, what I've got to do, one of the first things is I've got to put the power cord on the end. Now let's just put this on. I don't know how many of my overseas friends have actually seen a UK plug without its hat on, but this is what they look like. And to comply with the law, they all have to be fused. And let's just take the fuse out. And the British fuses are all sand filled, so that if you do get a fuse blow, any coating on the inside will not carry on with conduction. Basically, if it blows, it's going to melt into a pile, and that's going to be the end of it. It's not going to survive, and there will be a definite cut off of current. So that's that. So let's just screw the live and the neutral terminals back down. Okay, then we put the cord grip in over the top. And that just pokes through from the bottom. Clips over, and then you just screw it, clamp it on your cable like that. I did actually do a video of fitting these together, if you do want to go and look through my past videos. Right, and I did get a 1 amp fuse instead of a 13 because I want it to blow before anything damages, rather than everything catch fire and not work. So let's just screw the lid onto that. So that's fine. So we've done that one now. So I've got a fuse. I've replaced all the terminals, the capacitor, everything's in. The metal box is ready to take it. I've started to put the knobs on. So yeah, let's just turn that one. That one doesn't, they both really don't have a 0 point. What have we got to do now? I've got to make up the DC power connector. Now the original leads had a bit of shielded wire with a hollow probe and a 1 meg resistor inside the probe. Now I don't have that, but what I do have is I've got a standard test lead. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this cheap and cheerful lead. I'm going to cut that off, throw that over there, put that over the cable. Now on here I'm going to attach the 1 meg resistor and then just tap it off with the iron like that. Trim the resistor lead and slide that down like that. Should I shrink it down? I'm not going to get the heat gun out at this time of night, but what I can do is just use the side of the iron because the whole thing is warm. Not use the tip because the tip is obviously, I don't want to contaminate it. There we go, that's good enough. No naked flames involved, hey? That's not bad, is it? And then we just put that on the end of there, which gives me my DC connector. Okay, and the way I'm going to make my AC connector, let's just get another one of these cheap Chinese leads, is the same way I did the common line, and that was with a sharp knife. Get the rubbish off the blade and literally go down at the bottom and cut through the safety sheath like that, and then that can go into the AC ohms bit. During the preparation of the test leads and cabinet, the VTVM has had an opportunity to warm up thoroughly and now should be calibrated. Well, it should have done if I'd have left it switched on, but I hadn't. Turn it so that there's AC on. And if I look at it carefully on the inside, I can see one filament, yes, it is getting hot. That's good. So we'll leave that to warm up thoroughly. While we're doing that, I'm looking for smoke, obviously. I don't want any of the magic smoke to leak out. Right, so we're just picking it up there. Right, okay, set it to DC plus. Check the operation of the 0 adjust coil. Right, okay. So that operates. Turning this control should move the pointer to approximately half scale or less. Yeah. It should be possible to obtain a 0 adjust control position that will permit the meter to pointer to remain stationary when switching through from DC plus to DC minus. If there is appreciable zero shift of more than 2 divisions on the scale, it should be regarded merely as an indication that additional aging of the 12AU 7 tube is required. This aging can be obtained by leaving the instrument turned on for a period of 48 hours or more, or through continued use of the VTVM with periodic calibration. Insert the common and DC test lead, set it to DC plus and the range switch to 1.5 volts. Connect the test leads to a calibrated flashlight cell and adjust the DC calibrate control so that the meter pointer falls directly over the very small red dot on the meter face. I can see it just up there, so let's just check. So that's well down. Yeah, that's it. That's on the dot. Remember that range is on. Yeah. Turn it off to install the battery, top end of the battery into the battery cup, and then pull the spring out and over the bottom end of the battery. Now push the battery in under the metal blade, blah, 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 blah. Right, so turn it off. Battery goes in, head into the cup. I hope this is meant for a C cell, not a D. Yeah, it's meant for a C cell. There we go. Okay, so we've got a C cell in there. Right, okay, turn it on and select the switch to ohms. Set the ohms adjustment for full scale. And then connect the common to the AC test load, and it should drop to 0. Right, okay, so it's back together, but it's not working, and the only thing I can think of is that there's got to be a broken wire somewhere, because AC is not reading at all, and you can't get an ohms reading either. So what I'm probably going to have to do, which was something I was hoping to avoid completely, was actually to take apart the wiring from the PCB to the switches and check all the switches, because somewhere there has to be a broken wire. So yeah, not quite the ending I thought we'd have on this part, but the good thing is both tubes are lighting up with both sets of filaments, so I know the valves are, you know, pretty much good. I can't see there being any other major failure. We know that the meter movement is working fine, because we've seen that work. At this point, all I can say is thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we've got somewhere, even if we haven't got anywhere. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Click like and subscribe, be very handy for me, and leave me any comments you like. We'll go through from there, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks very much for now.